1. This story takes place at the University of Michigan in Ann Arbor during the 2015-2016 winter season. My childhood best friend invited my girlfriend and I to come visit him in college for a weekend. He moved into an apartment-style dorm by North Campus at the beginning of that school year. Courtyard, for those familiar. His apartment had some space in the living room, which made it easier for people to come visit and stay overnight. The trip itself was amazing. We caught up in a lot of lost time, toured the school, downright beautiful by the way, sorry not sorry Michigan State, went out to a couple of places on Liberty Street, got wasted at a couple of house parties. My girlfriend had a blast, and we had even bought some Michigan hoodies as souvenirs at the dance store. I only wish I tried harder in high school so I could have gone there for engineering. But I digress. The main reason why we came to visit was to attend a fundraising dinner for the Michigan Polish Student Association. My friend and I are Polish. We both were part of Polish student clubs at our schools, and we would march together during the Chicago Polish Independence Day parade every year. This particular year, his club reserved a room at the Palmer Commons. It looked like any typical banquet hall filled with tables, a couple of projector screens, and a DJ booth with a big dance floor in the middle. The dress code for the event was formal: dress shirt, pants, shoes, belts, and ties. I decided to wear a black shirt with thin vertical white stripes, black pants, and a black belt. Didn't care for a tie. People sat down, the club leaders welcomed everyone, talked about the club, school involvement, presented the charity they were fundraising for, blah blah blah, and then everybody clapped. Throughout the event, servers brought out meals and water to the tables for guests to enjoy while they were pretending to pay attention. At some point my girlfriend noticed that all the servers just so happened to be wearing black dress shirts with thin white vertical stripes, black pants, and wait for it, black belts. You can probably guess where this is going. She got my attention, pointed out the matching outfits between me and the staff, and we laughed it off as some funny coincidence. Somebody at our table even made a joke that I should get back to work and take their dirty plates back to the kitchen. We left it at that and didn't think much else of it. For context, there were maybe 20 to 30 plus staff members working around the room. Big event, maybe 200 plus guests. Most staff were students themselves, working part-time to fund their college shenanigans. Apart from the 10 or 15 servers that had assigned tables to serve food to, the majority of the staff collectively handled water jugs, bussed tables, and cleaned wherever needed. I doubt they paid enough attention to know everyone working that night, and given the extremely unlikely odds that I was wearing the exact same outfit as them, made it very easy for staff to assume I was one of them. Also FYI, the school club handled the check-in process and seating arrangements for the event. The service and cleaning was handled by the school's facilities department or whatever. Bottom line, there was an apparent disconnect between the club and staff on knowing who was and wasn't a guest. No one wore name tags or wristbands, etc. Anyways, turns out some of the servers saw me sitting at a table, assumed I was part of the crew, and thought I decided to stop working to enjoy the event. It got to the point where servers would give me weird looks as they laid plates down at our table. But they didn't confront me or say anything since it wasn't their place to do so. Oh, but they definitely made sure to point it out to the managers, multiple times by multiple staff members. At some point between the main course and dessert while another speech was being given out in the background, someone came up from behind me and placed a hand on my shoulder. Before I had a chance to turn around and react, a male voice said, "I need you to get up and step outside into the hallway with me right now." His hand slid down to my arm to get a decent grip, and I decided to get up and go along with it. I wasn't too surprised that this was happening given the circumstances explained above. We've been treating this as a coincidental joke the whole time, so I thought it was kind of funny that I got the attention of the managers. I am 6'2" and he was about 5'7" or so with a slim build. It looked like I had about 40 or 50 pounds on him, so I didn't feel uncomfortable with the way he was trying to handle the situation. To him, I probably looked like some tall, fit college bro that screws around all the time. I figure at most I would need to explain that I am not a staff member, show my ticket for the event, that was in my jacket pocket hanging on the chair, and sit back down and we'll laugh about it. No harm, no foul, right? Ha! Nope. He pointed me to the nearest door and led me out into the hallway. I figured I should just wait until we were in the hallway to calmly explain the situation and not cause a scene in front of other guests. I didn't grab my ticket or jacket in time, but whatever. I'm sure he will give me a chance to show it to him while we talk. My friend and girlfriend thought it was freaking hilarious that this was happening and assumed I would be back in a minute. We make our way into the empty hallway and the manager shuts the doors behind us. All doors had to be closed during the event to keep the noise inside. I asked him to let go of my arm and he does. Again, before I had a chance to say anything, and without skipping a beat, he starts blaring, "I don't know who the hell you think you are, and I don't know what crossed your mind to think that on your first shift you can decide to take a break and engage with the guests. Sir, please let me. I don't give a shit what your stupid excuse is. It's common sense that staff don't sit down with guests and engage with them. I don't care if this is just some part-time job for you while you're studying. I can replace you with 5 other students tomorrow for all I care. You show nothing but laziness, disrespect." During his rant, I noticed a campus security officer turn a corner and walk towards us. Oh, you gotta be effing kidding me. The manager keeps going on his rant again, not letting me speak for myself. When the officer was standing next to us, he gives his big punchline. "No, you're done, Fred. I don't want you in this building. I'm going to put a word in with the school and have you barred from working another campus job. You're going to end up explaining to your family why you couldn't last a single shift." Big oof. The officer takes his cue and starts to escort me to the nearest exit. The manager watches us until we turn the corner and goes back inside. I began explaining the situation to the cop from start to finish. At first, he didn't want to believe me and thought I was trying to con my way out of trouble. Eventually, he let me return to the room to grab my ticket along with my driver's license to match the names on both and prove that I'm just a guest. Some more talking later, and after my friend and girlfriend vouched for me, the officer let me be and went off to talk to the manager. I assured the cop that I didn't feel the need to press charges, and we sat back down. Everything else went by normal. We decided to go out for a drink once the formal speeches and food service was over. We came back again the following year for another weekend of fun with another banquet night. I made sure to bring a shirt that no service worker would wear. Thankfully, the next banquet was in a different building on campus. I don't know what, if anything, happened to the manager, probably nothing. I didn't care about pressing charges or making a scene. I just like being able to tell this interesting story. U of M is still better than Michigan State. 2. Background. My parents used to host foster kids until they could be placed with their adoptive parents. They did this from 2015 to 2019. This happened in 2018. This particular kid we had, I'll call her Annie for this story. Annie was 11 when this happened. Annie was a sweet girl who had just lost her parents, and my parents hosted her until her grandparents could adopt her. While my parents did host foster kids, I would often help out with taking them to school and doctor's appointments, since I worked the evening shift at my job. Annie ended up going to the same middle school that I did, and I know several of the teachers and office staff that still work there, and yes, this will be important. Cast: me, Teach, Annie, Mrs. G, good mama and secretary, Mrs. B, the principal. So like I said, this happened in 2018. My foster sister Annie was in school. It was around 10 in the morning when my mom got a call from the school that my sister had started her monthly. Oh boy, I grab lady things and some pain relievers to help with her stomach cramps. I go to school and see Mrs. G, the secretary and my godmother, who waves me through after I verified my identity. We have to do this for safety reasons. I go into the waiting area and sit there looking at my phone. Then I hear the dreaded, I look up to see this teacher looking at me with disgust. Oh boy. Can I help you? Why aren't you in your uniform? It's not a free dress day. I'm not a student here. I'm waiting for my sister to give her a change of clothes. Before the teacher could finish, Annie walks in looking embarrassed as hell. Hey, kitty. Hey, munchkin. I brought some clean clothes for you, pads, and go ahead, take some pain reliever meds. Annie takes a bag and I give her a bottle of water so she can take the medicine. The teacher sees this and just freaks out, accusing me of giving her drugs, which, technically I was, but just some leave. Ma'am, I told you I'm her older sister. I came to give her things for her stomach cramps. She started her period today. There is no way you're her older sister. I want to see ID. Annie tries to get a word in, but I just shove her bag of clothes and lady products so she doesn't have to stand in bloody clothes. Now, while all of this is going on, Mrs. G is watching us. As I said, Mrs. G is my godmother, but I'm also an adult who can handle things like this. I show her my driver's license, and of course the teacher scoffs and just hands it back to me. This just proves you're in high school, and I don't care you're her older sister. You can't be here. I was born in 1997. Annie interjects. Ma'am, Kitty had her 21st birthday a few weeks ago. The teacher shushed her. At this point, Mrs. G is coming over, God bless her. Mrs. G walks over and asks what's going on. Mrs. G, you need to report these two girls to the principal. Why in the hell would I do that? Kitty hasn't been here since 2010.
But her ID.
What about it? I've known Kitty since she was a baby. I'm her godmother. She would never lie about this. I can't believe you. We are taking this to the principal. At this point, I just wanted to get home, and poor Annie was just an anxious mess. Mrs. G told her to go into the bathroom and change and wait in the office while the adults settled the matter. Being polite, despite wanting to deck the teacher into next year, I went to the office, where at once the principal, Mrs. B, immediately greeted me with a big hug and asked how my sister was. Bio's sister went to the same middle school as me. I told her my sister is getting married soon, then she got right down to business. Susan, what's the problem?
This student is lying and giving drugs to her sister.
Mrs. B just started to laugh. It was the first time since I had seen her that she actually laughed. When I was in middle school, I never once saw her smile or laugh. Lord, Susan, are you that dumb? Why the hell would you think she's in high school, much less middle school? Go back to your class and let me reconsider hiring you. At that, the teacher, Susan, huffed off. Mrs. G, Mrs. B, and I had a good laugh. This was pretty common for me since I have a baby face, but most of the time it ends in awkward apologies. I've never had this happen to me, but it was nice to have someone back me up. I leave the principal's office and tell Annie to have a good rest of the day, and I'll see her that afternoon. 3. So I used to work at a credit union. Something that is common in the credit union community is to merge with smaller credit unions and absorb their members. 2 years before I started at this credit union, Schools Credit Union, not real name, we'll refer to as SCU, they merged with the County Schools Credit Union, CSU, also not real. When the merger happened, they bought a new building, which used to belong to a big bank. First common issue, members calling confused about what credit union they're a part of. For the most part, they understand when we explain the merger, but most of them still insist on referring to us as CSU. The issues came up when they would attempt to file some paperwork under the previous name and wouldn't understand why it was rejected. You can't verify paperwork as legit on a company that no longer exists. Second common issue is people thinking we are still the bank that previously owned the building. Most frequent occurrence is people coming in with a big bank check asking to cash, and us explaining we cannot cash a check for non-members from a bank that isn't ours. One woman was so frustrated by this she threw a hissy and walked out, leaving behind her license. Typically, if a personal item was left at a branch, we would call the member, note their account, and then stash it in a safe place in the back. But since she wasn't a member, all we could do was keep it in a safe place and hope she returned for it. She didn't. The third issue happened way more often than it should. As I said, we are labeled Schools Credit Union, meaning we are a credit union that started with school staff but expanded to the general public. We actually have nothing to do with the schools, but that doesn't stop people from calling us with school-related questions. Usually we still try to be helpful and answer the questions to the best of our ability, but more often than not, we had no answers to provide. Member over the phone.
What is the number for the administration building?
Give me a moment to look it up. Google school admin number. It looks like 1234567.
I've tried that, it doesn't work.
Well, that is the number listed on the website. We are a credit union and not a part of the schools, so we only have access to their publicly listed number.
Can't you just transfer me over?
Again, we are not part of the schools. Here is the school's general number. Try giving that a call and see if they can help.
Alright, fine.
2 minutes later, same member calls back.
No one answered that number you gave me.
Again, we can only provide you with the number they have listed on the website.
Well, can't you give me the number for Betty at the administration office? She's who I need to speak to.
I can only give you the number listed on their website. We are not a part of the school.
Well, the phone book says you're with the school.
We are the SCU, not a part of the school. They hang up. Member calls back 5 more times after that. The first time I recognized the number and had my coworker answer. After a similar conversation, she hung up. Called 5 more times, we stopped answering. Every couple of weeks, the same person would call asking similar questions. Every now and then, we could actually find an answer, but for the most part, her questions were so specific and random, I wondered if the school could even answer them. I worked there for a total of 3 years. I've been gone 6 months and still get updates from my old co-workers about the crazy members. The job was definitely entertaining. I miss it, some days. but I'm relieved to be working a job that doesn't involve working with customers. 4. When I was 13, I had long hair, long eyelashes, and a very timid voice. A ton of people mistook me for a girl, so I used to be very isolated from people due to embarrassment. For the record, I only had long hair because I had terrible blood circulation, so staying warm was always an issue. Long hair helped. I shortened it at 15. When I was 16, I got my first job at a summer camp. Technically, it was just a camp because it was all year long. The company disagreed. I got to a volunteering position as a camp counselor. This meant I don't technically work there, but I help out when actual employees need it. As a camp counselor, I would set up the computers in the morning and get ready to greet the parents, who would drop off their kids to play Minecraft. Yep, best camp. I had an occasional Karen mom who would try to do stuff like take a computer another kid was sitting at for her son, because it looked shinier. Obviously, she didn't know it was the oldest model we had. Tiny background. I loved computers and could even dismantle my laptop and reassemble it on my own at 15 years old. I only got this job because I brought my laptop into the interview to prove it in front of the owner. Let's just say they were very impressed. Anyways, that same Karen would actually walk into the building, which parents weren't actually supposed to do, and sit there for several hours. We wanted the kids to have fun without having the pressure of a parent watching. My manager, aka the owner, was a fan of letting kids run wild as long as they were safe. Parents kinda hinder that enthusiasm. No offense to any parents out there. This mom walked in and called me over. I came over with the speed of an elephant. Not very fast. She kept snapping her fingers and yelling, "Boy! Hey, boy!" I eventually snapped and told her, "Calm your booty hole." Yes, I try not to swear in front of kids, but fucking hell, I'll do it in private. Sorry. I came over after finishing my set and asked, "Can I help you?" She screeched so loud my ears felt like they'd shatter.
"How dare you take so long, you dumb rat! You were slower than my husband!"
Let me just point out, I finally get that was supposed to be a sex joke. I was too innocent back then to realize. I apologized and started to walk away, almost forgetting she needed something. Obviously it wasn't important because she never called me over again for it. A few minutes later she screamed, "Boy, boy, boy!" I responded with, "Shut up!" To which she looked shocked. I walked over and was done with her BS, so I pulled up a picture on my phone to silence her. It was me with long hair and a feminine figure. I told her the best lie I ever could. "I'm a girl, so shut up." She smiled and said, "How cute, you actually look like me when I was younger." I cringed so hard. Nobody wants to be told they look like a hellspawn. Anyways, it turns out she was sexist against men. I told her I didn't work there and her attitude made me want to quit. If she wanted something, she needs to ask, not scream. I didn't technically work there, but I helped 3 days a week for about 12 hours total. She never apologized, but told the owner to give the young lady a job. Let's just say the owner kept my secret for a small fee of babysitting his son. Technically, I offered, but it still felt like blackmail. I actually got hired for a few dollars more than minimum wage. Probably because I got the Karen off my boss's back and saved him time. Time is money, after all. In the end, she treated all the employees much better after a while, but I never did get the chance to tell her I was a guy before I eventually left. That would have been epic. Side note, this Karen is my favorite out of the dozens I've personally met for one reason. She chose to try and change. Not gonna lie, I was losing faith in humanity after the Super Bowl commercials that year, so this gave me a glimmer of hope. Plus, she was gullible. That's a bonus. 5. About 10 years ago, my family and I went on vacation to the happiest place on earth, Disneyland. I was a freshman, about 14 at the time, weighing about 115 pounds, hip-length hair mostly tied up in a ponytail, and sporting some sort of black attire with shoes. I should explain that being from Hawaii, most of us are a melting pot of ethnic backgrounds. I myself have about 7, including a Hispanic background. That would soon be my downfall. I do not speak any other language aside from English, and had only taken a few courses of the Spanish language as an elective for high school. We were a rather large grouping, being 15 in size, and I was the eldest child of the group. One morning we were downstairs eating a continental breakfast that the hotel provided, and everything was going great. As we finished our breakfast, it was my job to clean up the table since the parents were getting the younger children together for our big adventure. I made a few stacks of the plates and started to shovel off to the trash cans. Along the way, a child no older than maybe 4 comes up with his tray and says,
"Excuse me, can you take it for me? I'm too small."
I smile and pat him on the head as he places his tray on my pile. A few others try to gather my attention and I politely ignore them because we are kind of in a hurry, and the next shuttle to Disneyland was in about 15 minutes, and the one after that would be over an hour. I head back over to our table to gather the cups and a few lingering plates, and start walking over the trash can yet again. Enter new character, housekeeping lady, HL. She's speaking very fast in Spanish with a concerned look on her face. "Sorry, I don't speak Spanish very well, so I don't know what you're saying," I sighed. "What do you think you're doing? Why aren't you helping the other guests and gathering the tables? Do you think we'll just pay you to walk around with your head in the cloud?" "I'm sorry, I'm a bit confused, I don't understand." HL grabs me by the arm with a purpose and whisks me off to a less crowded area of the lobby and laces into me. "I don't understand why you aren't helping these guests. I put on my neck on the line for you and this is the thanks I get. I told your mom you weren't ready to work in the industry. What the fuck was she thinking?" "Wait, you know my mom?" I responded, quite confused because we are, like the title says, from Hawaii, which is over 2,500 miles away from the resort. Mind you, I'm in a black tank top, black shorts, black Converse with my jacket tied around my waist and hair up in a ponytail. Their uniform is a blue button-down, black slacks, black shoes, and hair in a ponytail, or at least up in a bun. I don't resemble anything close to what an employee would look like. I looked much older than I was at the time, and I can understand the confusion, but, hello? "Oh, now you're going to pretend you don't know me? How fucking ungrateful. How dare you, you lazy bitch. This is the thanks I get for getting you another job." Then proceeds to what I assume is curse me out in Spanish. Enter new character, awesome grandma.
What are you doing here? We're ready to go. We're leaving now. Everyone's on the shuttle.
She proceeds to grab my arm and take me away from this crazy bat, but alas, HL was not done yet and decided to kick things up a notch. She grabs my jacket from my waist to stop me walking away, looks at AG and says, "I'm sorry, ma'am, she's not going anywhere. We're having to retrain her, and she will not be able to assist you on your shuttle. If you want, I can call someone over from the front desk to assist you." AG is obviously confused, and rightfully so, since she did not hear all the things this lady has said to me up to this point.
"Excuse me? I don't think you understand. She is
going to be retrained and will not assist you."
What exactly do you mean by this? I'll finish what I was saying before you rudely cut me off. This child is my granddaughter, and we are leaving now.
"Oh, you're her grandma. That's funny because I've been to her mother's house, and I've seen pictures of her mother and her husband's mother, and you do not look like either of those women. I'm going to have to ask you to release my employee and leave immediately before I call security to have you removed." AG is completely about to lose it. Instead, she lets go of my arm and walks away. At this point, I'm just thinking, oh my fucking god, why would you leave me here with this crazy bitch? Now that the liar is gone, we have much to discuss. First by retraining you, then by calling your mother. Look, you crazy bitch, I don't work here. I'm not even from here. I'm from Hawaii. This tone obviously sets this lady off because I see that whatever screw it was holding her together just burst, and she was about to lace into me yet again, when in comes AG with a new face. Manager on duty, MOD. "What seems to be the issue here?" "Oh, it's nothing, sir. I'm just trying to retrain a new employee." You'll never guess what she said. She claims that not only has she been to Hawaii, but that she lives there. Do you know how crazy that is? She just started here and she thinks she has enough money to live in Hawaii. The audacity. I've been working here for 10 years, and even I have never been to Hawaii because of how expensive it is. "Excuse me, ma'am, are you all right?" he said, looking at me. No, this crazy bitch decided to pull me away from clearing off my family's table, and caused us to miss our shuttle, and called me many things, and to top it off, she decides for herself that I am lying about where I come from. "HL, you're gonna have to come with me." "Oh, I'm sorry, you must not recognize her out of uniform. This is Emily's daughter. She is new here. I don't think you've met Bonita Joe." "No, my name is Vivian, not Bonita Joe," I basically screamed. AG pulls out her wallet and hands the lady our Disneyland passes, which at this time had our names printed on them, along with her Hawaii state driver's license. "Hey Joe, what in the hell has gotten into you? You're basically kidnapping a guest, zipping them around, calling them profane names, and harassing them." "I'm sorry, but as I've said before, you're going to have to come with me." MOD motions us to follow along to the front desk. He takes HL to the back and proceeds to hand her ass and attitude back to her. A few moments later, HL walks out basically white as a ghost and presumably jobless, looks at us and doesn't say a single word and walks off to, I assume, gather her things. MOD is mortified and gathers himself before coming up to us and profusely apologizing for his employee's actions. MOD doesn't ask if he can do anything for us, and instead tells the front desk to type up a paper and give us free manager's reception, basically a 2-hour time period where they have snacks, pizzas, and drinks for about $5 an item, during the duration of your stay, 7 days to go. He then motions over to the valet captain and asks him to shuttle us down the road, so we can finally be reunited with our family at Disneyland. AG and I are still dumbfounded to this day about HL and her mistaken attitude. Hey everybody, Hellfreezer here, and thank you very much for listening to Idiots in the Wild, number 16. And thank you very much to everybody who allowed me to use their stories in this video. And boy did we have some rare idiots in this one. You know, I'm starting to be convinced that with all the manure coming out the mouths and the Karens in these stories, they might be responsible for, 20-25% at least of the world's gaseous emissions. And with that charming thought, I'm going to head off for now, so until next time, thank you very much for listening, and take very good care of yourselves.